Hi everyone, it's John Mitchell. In this video, we're going to look at training and development. Part of managing employees is ensuring they have the right skills and abilities to be able to perform their job at a high level, and training is an important part of actually making that happen. It ensures they've got the skills and abilities that they can be effective in their job so they're able to achieve objectives, but also so that they're able to perform their work in an efficient manner. If we look at a definition, training is the process of improving an employee's skills and knowledge so they are able to perform their job more effectively and efficiently. Now, in order to determine what type of training an employee needs, a business can conduct what's known as a training needs analysis, and that assesses the needs of the business, the needs of each job within the business, and then the needs of each individual employee to see if there are any gaps in skills or knowledge that they may require for their particular job, and that will then determine what type of training is implemented. Now, development involves all the activities that helps prepare an employee to take on greater responsibility within the business in the future. Now, effective development programs help retain talented employees and also help improve motivation because the employee gets the chance to take on greater responsibility. Now, training is a really important part of development. It's hard to develop an employee to take on greater responsibility without training them. However, there are some other processes that can be put in place, such as mentoring, where the employee learns from a really experienced team member. Job rotation, the employee is conducting a number of jobs over time so that they're actually gaining experience in a range of jobs. So if they become a manager, they know how different jobs operate and what's expected. Also, delegation, where the manager is handing down or passing over tasks and responsibilities to the employee, and therefore they're able to gain experience. And developing staff can help with the business's succession planning so that if a manager does leave, that the employee has the skills, knowledge and experience to step into that particular role. Now we need to go through the types of training. So we've got on-the-job training and off-the-job training are listed in our study design. On-the-job training is where an employee learns at their workplace, often while they're performing their actual job. Some common ways of actually conducting on-the-job training are coaching, where an experienced team member comes and actually coaches and trains the employee on how to use particular equipment. Job rotation, where the employees are again performing a range of tasks and learning on those tasks while they're performing those tasks on the job. And understudy or role modeling, where the employer will learn from an experienced employee by actually watching them work. And so rather than them doing the work and the employee teaching them, they're actually watching their experienced employee do their work and they're studying that. Now, some advantages of on-the-job training is that the employees gain experience on the equipment that they're actually working on, so that real familiarity that they're using that equipment. It's normally more cost-effective, so we look at on-the-job and off-the-job training. On-the-job training is normally more cost-effective than off-the-job training. Employees get to work while they are being trained, which means that they're being productive. They're actually conducting work. Now, they may not be as productive as they would be if they're fully experienced in what they're learning, but they are still somewhat productive. Disadvantages is that the quality of the trainer can vary. So even though the employee may be being trained by an experienced team member, it could result that the actual team member isn't an experienced trainer, so it can be really difficult to actually pass on knowledge, and also poor habits can be passed on through the business. And if an experienced employee is the actual trainer, then they're obviously unable to perform their normal day-to-day duties, which can hurt productivity. Off-the-job training is where an employee learns new skills away from the workplace. So some common things here: conferences, where the employee goes away to a conference and learns and listens to a number of different speakers. A classroom setting, so they're actually sitting in there doing activities in class like you would normally do in class. Simulations is where there's an imitation of a situation or a process. A really common one example there is that airlines will often perform simulation training to help prepare their employees for emergency procedures. So they simulate an emergency procedure, and that's part of their training. And also role plays is another form of off-the-job training, a common form of off-the-job training. Now, the advantages of off-the-job training is that normally the employee will learn from specialists with vast experience in different sort of areas, and they can obviously learn from that experience. Less interruptions from workplace issues, so the employee can actually focus on the training because they're away from the workplace, and also it can provide a formally recognised qualification for the employee. Some disadvantages: as I said before, often it's more expensive than on-the-job training, so it's the most expensive form of training normally. May not learn on the exact equipment that they'd be using in the workplace, so they may learn on particular equipment while they're being trained, and then get back to the workplace, and there's some slight differences that they then need to get used to. Employees may have gained a qualification, but they then may leave the business, which can obviously is a loss of investment for the business. And also lost working time as the employee is actually away from work, and it may be that the business has to employ a casual staff to take over that role, which can be expensive. So just to recap, training is the process of an employee improving their skills so they're able to perform their job more effectively and efficiently, and development is preparing the employees to take on greater responsibility in the future. And the two types of training that we went through are on-the-job training and off-the-job training, and just keep in mind that you need to know the advantages and disadvantages with those particular types. So for questions, activities, and to find out more about our Unit 4 and exam preparation lectures, then always come on over to teachingbubble.com.